Hey everyone, today we're going to be building the Parts Express Amiga Tower Kit. A few things to keep in mind. While the hardware components you need to build the kit are now included, all of the tools you need to build the kit are not included. Things like wood glue and clamps, sanders and sandpaper, various basic hand tools, and even soldering are required to build this kit. So make sure you refer to the manual online for everything you need before you place an order. One other quick thing is that this particular kit only ships with one speaker, so you may be looking to order two for a stereo pair. And with that being said, let's get started.
First, open up your boxes and start unpacking the contents. Now's the best time to double check that everything is included. Take the pieces out of the enclosure and dry fit or mock put them together and lay them out according to positioning. You don't want to accidentally glue something sideways. Here's a quick tip. Use the top panel as a jig to square up the braces and mark the location on the side panels. This will be helpful during the gluing process. Start adding glue to the back part of the enclosure, first with the edges of the rabbets and dados, and then the rest of the joining surfaces. If you want, you can use a brush to spread the glue, but don't leave any spots unconnected from wood glue. What you're doing is creating an air seal in this process. Carefully but quickly add each side panel, making sure to apply the glue to every connected side. Repeat this step for the braces in the middle of the enclosure as well. This is where your lines you made earlier will pay off. Straighten your pieces as you attach clamps or other fitting methods before you leave the glue to permanently combine all of the sides. Note that the front baffle is to be left off, back sides and braces only at this point. Another quick tip is to run your fingers along any internal excess to make sure the glue there is sealing nicely on every point of connection. After a few hours in a comfortable temperature environment, remove the clamps and check over your work. Give everything a good sanding to make sure you don't have any bumps, nicks, or dings. Mark where your speaker terminals will go and keep in mind you will need to have access to the other side later in the build, possibly after the enclosure is sealed on. Now is a great time to begin building the crossover. Check the description of this video or the Parts Express product page for the Amiga Kit crossover assembly video. Then, once you've put it all together, you can return to this video to finish the build. After your crossover is secure, it's time to damp the enclosure. Carefully cut the sonic barrier damping sheets into manageable sized pieces with a straight edge and sharp knife. Peel off the adhesive backing and firmly press each piece into place. The kit includes enough material to cover all of the internal walls except the baffle. And now let's attach the baffle. Apply a heavy bead of glue to all of the exposed edges of the enclosure to make sure you end up with an airtight seal. Then carefully place and straighten it up before you add all your clamps and leave it to dry. This is a perfect point to finish your speaker. You can do whatever you want, but for this build, we're going to show you both vinyl wrap and exo-hide cabinet coating. Here's a couple tips for you. Spray paint the edges that could possibly not receive a finish. Depending on how you finish, parts of the enclosure might pop through, so the paint provides a sneaky visual cover-up. And the other tip while you're at it, lay out your vinyl wrap with a couple of weights on it for at least 20 minutes or more. That way it won't roll up when you go to use it later. We're starting with the top and bottom panels first. Cut a piece of vinyl slightly larger than the panel you will be covering. Peel off the backing and carefully place into position overlapping the edges. Work out any air bubbles by starting in the middle of the panel and working out to the edges. Then make sure that all the edges are firmly secured. A roller works best, but you can use a soft cloth or even your hands for this. And it'll be good practice for the larger panels later. You'll need a sharp razor blade. Another tip, here's a quick and easy way to safely dispose of a used blade. Set the enclosure on a flat surface and cut as close to the edge as possible. You could also do it this way too. But now it's time for the big piece. Proceed very carefully through this process. Move slow and straight as you secure and press out the air bubbles. Don't forget to cut out the enclosure holes as well. Once finished, cut the edges like you did for the top and bottom. Before you apply the exo hide, tape off any areas you don't want to paint. Grab some exo hide and roll it on thick and even. It's easy to spread and you should only need one coat. Once dry, peel off the painter's tape and you can start working on the hardware again. Gently tap the binding posts into the holes you drilled earlier, and then connect the input wires from the crossover. Don't forget to use the leads with the solder ring terminals, and try not to get them backwards. After that, cut and screw in your port tube, preferably after drilling pilot holes. Before connecting the red and black wires to the tweeter, check the terminals on each speaker for positive and negative symbols. Once connected, place your tweeter and screw it in carefully by hand. Same thing for the woofer. Drill a few pilot holes, secure any excess wiring, and then connect and place the speaker. Keep in mind, using a drill is good to get each screw started, but you should finish by hand. And that is it. Congratulations on your new Amiga speaker or speaker pair. We'll see you in the next one. Happy building.